All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Homer, a man who called himself you-know-who just invited you to a secret wink-wink at the you-know-what. You certainly are popular now that you're a stonecutter.
Oh, yeah. Beer bust, beer blast, keggers, Steinhoist, AA meetings, beer night. It's wonderful, Marge. I've never felt so accepted in all my life. These people look deep within my soul and assigned me a number based on the order in which I joined.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, on the X Zone Broadcast Network, and from the studios of Classic 1220, your hometown radio here in St. Catharines. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or my new email address at classic1220, xzone@classic1220.ca. Alrighty, getting ready for some heavy snow here in St. Catharines, Ontario tonight. I am told yesterday in Quebec, where my dad lives, God bless him, he's 95 years old, he woke up to 37.5 centimeters of snow. Wow, they really got it in Quebec, and it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, we're going to have a great show this hour, Exonation. My guest is Paul Dale Roberts, and we've had the pleasure of having Paul on the show. He's what I would consider a regular over here. And Paul, welcome back to the Exxon, my friend. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Rob. I love being here. I feel like I'm at home.
Well, that's the way we like it. Please take your feet off the couch. My wife doesn't like that. Okay. Hey, Paul, for our listeners who may not have had the opportunity of listening to you before, as we keep on growing throughout the X-Zone Nation, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in the world of the paranormal and all the weird things that you and I have talked about over the years.
Well, I had a very strange journey there, Rob. As a child, I lived in a haunted house. All types of things were happening to me. So as I got older, I wanted to know if those were childhood nightmares or was that really something paranormal that was happening to me? And to this very day, I believe it was very much the paranormal. As I grew older, I joined the Army. I became an investigator, but it was an investigator not of the paranormal, but of narcotics. I was an MP working undercover with the drug suppression team, CID, Criminal Investigation Division in Germany. And we were after things like the khaki mafia, people who were distributing drugs and testifying at Article 32s and court martials. So that's where my investigative skills came in. And then in 1979, I re-enlisted in the Army. And I always wanted to know if military intelligence knew anything about UFOs. And I became a 97 Bravo and military intelligence with the Photo Interpretation Center in Korea. And I did learn that military intelligence did indeed know something about UFOs. Even though that Project Blue Book closed down in 1969, the military was still investigating UFOs or UAPs, whatever you want to call them now. And then in my lifetime, I did some bounty hunter work on my own. I did private investigations with Silhouette Enterprises, which was my own company. And I wasn't very successful with that. But then here comes along this one paranormal investigator and said, Paul, you write a lot. At the time I was working with the comic book industry, writing stories and everything else. And she said, well, you ought to join us on a paranormal adventure in Ione, California at the Jackson Hotel, which is very haunted, and write a story about it. So I did, and it was published in 2 British magazines. The owner of the time of Halo Paranormal Investigations really was excited that the story was published, and she wanted me to be the ghostwriter to HPI, Halo Paranormal Investigations. And at some point in time, she quit. She got more into music, and she does the vampire ball and all this other stuff. And I became the owner and the president of Halo Paranormal Investigations. And that's how I became a paranormal investigator.
Paul, why are so many bars, hotels, pubs, restaurants, and, places like that filled with so many paranormal stories and hauntings?
Well, especially the old ones, back in the Wild Wild West. You go to nightclubs now, and you hear stories about people getting into bar fights, people actually getting killed at bars. They have gun violence and everything else. So, like the Jackson Hotel was a hotel back in the 1800s, and some of the gold miners stayed in that hotel. Prostitutes stayed in that hotel. There was jealousy involved. There was a couple prostitutes that were killed in that hotel. There was a cowboy who stayed in one of the rooms, and he committed suicide by jumping out of the window. So because of the tragedies that happened in the past, makes those places haunted.
I see. Well, when you look at all the tragedies that have happened throughout the American history as well as the Canadian history, and doubtlessly other places around the world, you would think that this planet should be just filled with ghosts, spirits, hauntings, to a point where no one could actually deny them.
I met parapsychologist Lloyd Oddbach.
Yeah,
And,
we had Lloyd on the show last week.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if you ever have him on the show, tell him I said hi.
I will.
We actually did a little convention together a long time ago in San Jose. Lloyd, one of the things that he said was that the whole planet is haunted because people died everywhere. And that I have a tendency to believe, that the whole planet is haunted. I mean, I have a very psychic medium on our team, Wishfire, and she sees ghosts everywhere. We could be walking down the street and she's, oh my God, there's something here. And she's proven herself many times over and over again that she is a true psychic. When she says she sees something, I can go to that location and probably get an EVP or some kind of intelligent movement in my photograph of an entity. So, yeah, she's proven herself many times over, and the whole world, I believe, is haunted, just like Lloyd said.
My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone on your hometown radio, Classic 1220. Streaming worldwide on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is Paul Dale Roberts, and we're talking about the paranormal, things that go bump in the night, and much more. If you'd like to send me an email talking about a guest that we've had, or if you have had an experience that you'd like to share with us, or maybe you're out there and you've had experiences that are unsettling and you just do not know where to go, who to contact, there's no need for that. Just send me an email, xzone@classic1220.ca, and we'll certainly channel it to the appropriate person that we feel could be the best to help you out, including our guest this hour, Paul Dale Roberts. Paul, what are some of the investigations that you have worked on that you think, in your opinion, not only as a paranormal investigator, but as a former law enforcement investigator, that prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that the paranormal is real?
Well, there was a case that I had in Citrus Heights, and it was one of my most spectacular cases because so much things were happening. Um, I had 15 scouts, which are paranormal investigators in training, and I brought them to a home in Citrus Heights. And I put 5 in one room, 5 in another room, 5 in another room. Well, 5 in one room were practically falling asleep because nothing was happening. 5 in another room, again, they were practically sleeping because nothing was happening. And then 5 in this other room, all kinds of things were happening. You could hear a little girl talking and giggling. And I went to the corner of the bed, and right in front of me, no more than maybe 2 feet, I said, there's a little girl sitting at the corner of this bed because that's where the sounds come from.
Right.
And I put my head down and I said, hello. And she says, hello. I said, holy, I'm not, you know what?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to bring everybody into this room. We're going to conduct a seance. And we did. And the walls sounded like they were ripping apart. It sounded like something out of Hellraiser Cenobites.
My gosh.
The walls were ripping apart. There was pounding on the walls and everything else. And all 15 scouts are running out the front door. I said, no, get back in here. I said, this is a breakthrough. Come on back.
Yeah.
So we're all on the floor again. I'm doing this seance. We had 3 walkie-talkies on the same channel, and a voice came on one of the walkie-talkies. It was a man's voice, and he goes, get out. And again, they're running out the front door. Then the owner comes up to me and says, Paul, I have to live here. Maybe we need to stop this. And I said, yes, I understand. I'll stop it. And she goes, you know what? You're welcome to stay in this room all night. I said, that's fantastic. I said, yeah, okay. So I sent everybody home. We set up a camera, and I'm sleeping on this bed. And what happens is I fall asleep, and a woman's voice, you can hear her say, Paul, Paul, Paul. And then a man's voice, which is just mumbling, blah, 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 blah. And a child moaning at the foot of the bed, and a little tapping on the headboard. And guess what, Rob? I slept through it all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But at that point in time, I became a true believer of the paranormal. The paranormal exists, and I witnessed it with 15 other people.
Paul, you and I have to go to our first break. Please stand by. Exonation, my guest this hour is Paul Dale Roberts. And if you'd like to find out more about Paul, it's very simple. Just go to your Google and just put in the search engine, Paul Dale Roberts. Everything about this gentleman will pop up. And fascinating gentleman. Great website, great stories. But the thing is, he's credible. By the way, Paul, thank you for your service, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone.
Exonation will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone, coming to you from our studios and broadcast center in St. Catharines, Ontario, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming around the world, classic1220.ca. We'll be back. Don't go away.
From our home to yours, this is Laura Rogers, wishing all the members of the X Zone Nation a very Merry Christmas and a happy and joyful New Year.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
Welcome back to the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming around the world, classic1220.ca. Paul Dale Roberts is our guest. And Paul, you sent us a list of some very interesting things that you were involved with. I'd like to talk to you about your Zodiac investigation first.
Oh, yes, the San Francisco Zodiac. There was an area near Vallejo called Lake Berryessa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a couple, they had a little picnic. They were laying off in the grass. They were getting kind of friendly with each other. And off in the distance, they saw a man behind a tree. And this man was dressed in all black. And he had an executioner's hoodie on. And he had a symbol of the Zodiac on his chest. And the guy's girlfriend says, "Look at that guy over there. What's he doing? He's watching us." And her boyfriend looks over there and goes, "Oh, just ignore him. He's just being silly. He's probably taking pictures of himself wearing a silly suit. Don't even worry about it." So they get back being friendly again.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time she looks, now this figure is closer to her. And she's starting to get a little nervous. The guy says, "Just ignore him." She looks again, and boom, he's right up on them. And before she knew it and he knew it, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, he had the boyfriend tie up the girl, and then he tied up the guy who was holding a gun to them, and he went ahead and killed the girl by stabbing her.
Oh.
Yeah, and he stabbed the boyfriend, but he survived to tell the story. So what we did was a lady who practices the Wiccan culture, she considers herself a witch, and she calls herself Raven, and she's psychic. She's a psychic medium. We went to the location of that murder at Lake Berryessa. And I tried to get some EVPs. Maybe I can pick up some of that residual energy of that particular night when the Zodiac killed that girl. And what was, to my amazement, at that location, a rock started glowing.
Oh, wait a sec here. Wait a sec. A rock started glowing?
It started to glow. It was, I have no idea. I mean, it was just a piece of granite, and it started to actually glow. And I have video footage of that somewhere. I know it was posted on the internet, but I had no explanation for it. But there was this one person who studies rocks and rock formations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that sometimes rock can contain the energy of the sun. And when it does that, it can glow if it has some quartz in it, and which granite has some quartz. So there could be a logical explanation, but at the time, seeing that rock glow really kind of blew me away. It was like, does that have any connection to the murder by the Zodiac at that location?
Sounds like it could have been a sign from the other side.
Yes, that's kind of what I thought, so and I put it to, I sent the video footage to some scientists and stuff, like the ones who study rocks and stuff, and that's what they were telling me, that certain rocks can contain the energy of the sun, and at nighttime it'll appear like it's glowing. So I just wanted to see if I could get an answer to it.
Were you able to get any EVPs while you were there?
No, no. I tried many times over. No EVPs. The only thing I got that was I considered paranormal was that glowing rock.
That's fascinating. Glowing
Yeah.
rock. You also did an investigation, I believe, on the Richard Trenton case, also known as the Vampire of Sacramento.
Oh gosh, that guy was a total monster. Rob, he was a type of guy. Before he was a serial killer, he was killing little animals and he was torturing animals.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was terrible. And he would take, let's say, a bird and pop its head off and then raise it up to his mouth and drink the blood. That's how sick this man was. Um, there was like 5 houses up in northern Sacramento, which were the victims of Richard Trenton Chase. And one of the houses, he actually killed a baby
Oh,
and yes, and threw the baby into the trash can. And so what we did, my investigators and I, we went to all the victim homes and conducted an outside investigation. And what was amazing is all 5 homes at that time were vacant. Nobody wanted to live in them.
you can't
Because-
blame them.
Yeah, because of the murders. Yeah. And this one house in particular, when the police asked him, why did you go in this house and kill 4 family members? And his answer was, they left the door open. So that tells me if they had locked the door, those murders probably would have never happened. And also, too, he was pulling surveillance on that house because there's these little half walls made of brick or, cement blocks near the house. And he would hide behind the block wall and watch those people. And at some point in time, too, he would get excited and he would defecate at that location.
Well, it seems that, this guy was certainly not playing with a full deck.
No, no. And we took pictures inside that house from the outside. And what we got was the residual energy, I believe, of the victims, because we got all these blurry images. We took another picture, then there was some clarity. And then we took another picture and some more blurry images. And then we even got a picture of what looked like a vortex, like a swirling mist. So I believe that house is probably extremely haunted. And we got all this photographic evidence. And then we even got an EVP, which sounded like a woman screaming.
What would happen if these houses were bulldozed and, they were just demolished and a new house was built on the same spot? Is it possible that the new home, brand new home, would be haunted or encounter paranormal experiences because of the tragedy, because of the horror, because of the horrific crime that happened at that place, that brand new house would encounter hauntings as well?
Oh, absolutely. We've actually had cases like that where something was bulldozed, it was destroyed. A house that was there before was destroyed, and then a new house was built over it, and now that new house is haunted. So, yeah, absolutely.
So whatever happened to this bozo who did all these horrific crimes?
He committed suicide in prison,
Yeah.
which is probably a very good thing.
Speaking about prisons, I would imagine that there's a lot of prisons throughout the United States and around the world that are totally haunted as well.
I have so many stories about prisons. Well, prisons, hospitals haunted. I mean, like I did that TV show called Haunted Hospitals.
Yeah,
in
we were talking prior to going on air about that you actually came up to Toronto and did an episode of haunted hospitals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, the hospitals are haunted, prisons, because of all the murders, the suicides, and everything. Just like we have a prison close to us here in Elk Grove, California, called Folsom Prison.
Mm-hmm.
And Folsom Prison is very haunted. There's stories from prisoners that are on the internet talking about the haunting activities at the prison. I have an uncle named Mike Best, and he was a correctional officer at old Folsom Prison. And he said, yes, he goes, prisoners himself have seen apparitions of former inmates who died there, who were murdered there, who committed suicide. There was a serial killer named Thor something. He was a Swedish serial killer, and he would pick up hitchhikers and kill them. They have seen, he died in prison. One of the inmates killed him, and he is seen walking the grounds of Folsom Prison. And they have a trail, which is called Johnny Cash Trail. And at the Johnny Cash Trail, some of the hikers have actually seen apparitions walking the trail, former inmates walking the trail.
I've got a good friend of mine. His name is Larry Lawson. In fact, he does his own radio show called Paranormal Stakeout. He's a former police officer in Fellsmere, Florida. But prior to joining, he started law enforcement off as a sheriff's deputy in one of the local prisons. And it was the events that happened within that prison that got him very interested in the paranormal. And I've heard, in fact, I've had guests on the show who are former law enforcement officers, and they all have stories to tell about the paranormal.
Oh, yeah. And I have another correctional officer in my
family.
Well,
before we go to the next part, we have to take another break, Paul.
Oh, okay.
All right. Paul Dale Roberts is my guest, Exo Nation. And if you'd like to find out more about Paul, just go onto your favorite search engine and type in Paul Dale Roberts. It's that simple. I'm Rob McConnell, and this is the X-Zone Radio Show, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming right around the world on classic1220.ca. Paul Dale Roberts and I return on the other side of this break, so whatever you do, don't go away. And if you do go away, you've got about a minute to come back.
This is Rob McConnell wishing each and every one of you a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, prosperous New Year. From our home to yours, love, light, and spirituality today and every day from this day forward. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Day at midnight, the sun was so bright, the moon had no light, but I could see this big old Sasquatch. Said he was top-notch at playing hopscotch way up in a tree. So I bet my wristwatch that big old Sasquatch could never play hopscotch way up in a tree. Now there's a Sasquatch up in a tree crotch He's got my wristwatch and he's laughing at me. I told the Mounties throughout the county.
Exonation, welcome back, everyone. That's Stompin' Tom Connor's Sasquatch song, and you're listening to us here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on Classic 1220, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. Paul Dale Roberts is my guest, and if you'd like to find out more about Paul, all you need to do is Google him or go to Bing or Edge or wherever and type in Paul Dale Roberts. Before I get back to Paul, I'd like to remind everyone that the X Chronicles newspaper will be available for one and all on, Thursday at around noontime at www.xchronicles.net. And there's the X Zone Christmas store at X-Zone, that's X-M-A-S, no, what is it? Craig, you changed it on me overnight. XZONEXMAS.com. A lot of great Christmas presents, gauged towards the paranormal. Wow, that's a mouthful. Thank you. My friend Paul Dale Roberts is with us, and Paul, we were talking about law enforcement officers and prison, guards seeing a lot of paranormal activity and piquing their interest in it. What are some of the stories that you've heard about police officers and, prison guards?
Well, my ex-brother-in-law, Simon Mitchell, was also too a correctional officer. And he was a correctional officer at Folsom Prison and some other location. And he said that this one ghost of this inmate who was killed in prison actually haunts this other inmate who's still living in his cell. And this inmate would start screaming in the middle of the night. And Simon Mitchell, the correctional officer, would run over and, "Why are you screaming?" He goes, "There's a ghost in my cell. It's that inmate who was killed." And they were actually, when that inmate was alive, those two inmates were always constantly fighting. In fact, he was actually contemplating killing that inmate. But now that inmate, who's now dead, haunts his cell and wakes him up in the middle of the night, even scratched him a little bit. So Simon Mitchell, my ex-brother-in-law, says, yeah, he witnessed the paranormal just through that story. He didn't actually see it happen, but he heard the story and he believes that inmate because it would almost happen every other night.
Strange things happen all over the place. Some of the stories that I've never heard about boggle my imagination. I have never heard, all right, maybe you're going to prove me wrong, which I'm sure you will. I haven't heard of a haunted morgue or a haunted funeral parlor.
Huh. That's interesting. My wife was actually going to work at a morgue in Elk Grove. And the owner of that morgue said that he has seen spirits at the morgue. They are not harmful. He would just see them, a glimpse of them with his peripheral vision, and they would just kind of vanish. So I have never investigated a morgue, so I wouldn't have really any kind of expertise in that. But according to that one owner, he says, yeah, his morgue was haunted by passing spirits.
Could you share with us your experience at the haunted hospital when you were doing that TV show?
Oh, yeah. My son, Jason, he went to the hospital. He had some type of bladder infection. And while he was there, I'm in the waiting room and I'm getting kind of bored and stuff like that. I was talking to some of the nurses and I said, yeah, is this hospital haunted? I'm a paranormal investigator. They kind of chuckled and laughed, but they said, yeah, I've actually experienced a few things in the hospice area. I said, really? So on my own, kind of sneaking around, I had my recorder I went to the hospice section and kind of sat down and relaxed and stuff and see if I see anything. And I actually did. I saw this old man and he had a walker and he was just taking his time and he's kind of walking towards me. Well, I thought it was a real person. And he walks into a wall. It's like, what the heck? And was eating some chips from a bag, and the bag of chips crumbled in my hand. I said, holy cow, this hospital is really, really haunted. And that was over in Midland, Odessa. So, yeah, they flew me over to Toronto to tell my story, and definitely, in my mind, all hospitals are haunted because people die there all the time.
The last time you were on the show with us, Paul, which wasn't that long ago, we talked about some of the naval ships that are haunted.
Oh, yeah, like the USS Nimitz.
Yeah.
Yeah. The USS Nimitz, very haunted. My ex-brother-in-law, Robert Mitchell, he served on the USS Nimitz. And the serial killer, John Eric Armstrong, was actually assigned to the USS Nimitz. And John Eric Armstrong, the serial killer, he killed 2 people in Seattle, and one of them was a trans. And he killed 5 prostitutes in Detroit. And it's believed that when the USS Nimitz would stop at different ports, that he most likely killed a prostitute at every single port. So you had that going on, and they would actually see a woman ghost on the USS Nimitz, and they believe that was probably one of the victims of John Eric Armstrong. And another thing with the USS Nimitz is that they had a plane crash on the USS Nimitz, and 14 Navy personnel died. And the servicemen on the USS Nimitz, they would see faces appear on reflective surfaces. And those those faces that are on those reflective surfaces are the deceased Navy personnel who died in that plane crash on the USS Nimitz. And then also, too, on the USS Nimitz, you had that Tic Tac UFO outside of San Diego. Mm-hmm. And USS Nimitz is a target for UFO activity because it's an actual attack nuclear-powered warship. So, yeah, so that's with the USS Nimitz.
Exonation, Paul Dale Roberts is our guest, and this is the X Zone, and you're listening to us right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. You sent us information about Lawrence Livermore Labs in California. Now, isn't that one of the labs that does a lot of high-tech research and development for NASA?
Yes, and also, too, they do super-powered lasers. In fact, our governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, wanted to invite some of his celebrity friends to the Lawrence Livermore Labs to actually witness some of the super lasers that the lab had. Mm-hmm. And those super lasers is an attraction for UAP activity, UFOs. And the reason why, because it's high tech, lasers can be very dangerous, can probably even shoot down a UAP, a UFO. And so I would think that extraterrestrials would have a strong interest in the Lawrence Livermore Labs. The people who live in Livermore, California, say that there's UFO activity there every single night. So HPI, Halo Paranormal Investigations, my group, we went to a camping area near Lawrence Livermore Labs. And we can't actually get into those labs because it's like top secret and everything else. So we stayed on the campsite and we looked at the night sky all night long. And we did see some starlight UAPs that moved erratically in the sky. So there was something like 9 investigators with me, and about 5 of them, including myself, did witness some strange activity in the sky. And the UFOs were at a distance where they looked like stars, but they didn't move like satellites. And they moved erratically. There was like one UAP actually moved in a Z formation. And no conventional aircraft can move in a Z formation quickly.
But isn't it fair to say that no conventional aircraft that we know of, or that has been publicly announced, can do that? Is it possible that there's top secret aircraft that can actually do that the Air Force or any of the other military just hasn't disclosed yet? Because if they disclose it to the public, they're going to disclose it to those countries that are not friendly to us, right?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
Rob. Yeah, something like that could possibly be one of our military secretive aircraft. And it wouldn't be piloted by a human because the G-force alone, going at that high rate of speed, doing a Z formation, would kill you.
Right.
You would turn into jelly.
Yeah.
So if anything, maybe it's a robotic type drone.
Drone, yeah.
Yeah, that's moving at those incredible speeds and those erratical type behavior.
All right, Paul, stand by. We've got to take our final break for this hour. In X Zone Nation, our guest this hour is Paul Dale Roberts. Just Google him. All the information is there. Type in Paul Dale Roberts. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. The X Zone is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock. Like I've been saying all night, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed at classic1220.ca. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Said he was top-notch at playing hopscotch way up in a tree. So I bet my wristwatch that big old Sasquatch could never play hopscotch way up in a tree. Now there's a Sasquatch up in a tree crotch. He's got my wristwatch and he's laughing at me. I told
This is the song, la 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 la, Elmo song.
Are you little? I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer.
Being beat up and battered around, being sent up and I've been shot down. You're the best thing that I've ever found. Handle me with care. Reputation's changeable, situation's tolerable, but baby you're adorable. Handle me with care.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios right here in the beautiful city, the Garden City of Ontario, St. Catharines. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at classic1220.ca. And why I'm chuckling is because that little clip we played, it's called, let me see, where is it? Simpsons, Homer Simpson kills Elmo. And you know, I can understand where Homer was coming from, because one year my dear wife Laura bought 4 of our younger grandchildren Elmo dolls for Christmas. Not just the regular ones, but the ones that talk. And when you've got 4 little grandchildren who have little Elmo going at the same time, saying different things, I can understand why Homer wanted to do that to Elmo. I wanted to do that to Elmo, not to the grandchildren, just Elmo. Oh. Welcome back, Paul.
Thank you, Rob.
What do you think about Elmo? Any of your kids go crazy for him?
Yeah, I love The Simpsons. I mean, and what's so amazing about The Simpsons is the fact that a lot of their episodes predicted the future. They
Really?
predicted that Trump would become president. And they did a bunch of other predictions, and they all came true, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah. What do you guys? How do you celebrate Christmas in Elk Grove, California? Do you get? You don't get snow.
No, we don't get snow. It gets cold though sometimes.
All right, Paul. What do you consider cold?
70 degrees.
Well, if you're looking for sympathy, my friend, you're on the wrong show.
But we have our Christmas tree up and everything else, and I like to let my wife do her own Christmas shopping at the mall. She knows what she wants and picks out. So, yeah, I let her do her own thing.
My wife does her shopping from our living room on something called Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
by the way, that was not a plug for Amazon, so...
But you can find my books on Amazon.
That was a plug for Amazon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, like every time I go to bring our little fur baby downstairs for a walk, I have to pass by the mail area, and they've got these big tables set up, and they're usually just jam-packed with packages from that company I mentioned, a few places where your books are sold, Paul. And I often, sometimes I swear I'm going to get a hernia carrying all the boxes upstairs. Like, holy cow. I remember Christmas. When I was a kid, it was about family. It was about everybody getting together and, the Christmas tree, the turkey, and, your aunts, your uncles coming. Mind you, my mother used to made Christmas paranormal for me when I was a kid, because she would tell us, Christmas Eve, well, this is what would happen. Christmas Eve, my brother and I, we had to get ready for bed. We each had our baths, and then we get ready for bed. And as we're getting ready for bed in the bathroom, my mother would say, the angels left new pajamas for you under the Christmas tree.
Oh.
Now, when you're 5 or 6 and your mother tells you angels brought you pajamas, like, am I going to die?
Oh, my God.
Like, why in the name of God would you tell a kid that?
Oh, gee.
Yeah,
yes.
That was about the strangest thing that happened to me as a kid when it came to the paranormal and my dearly departed mother. How do you celebrate Christmas?
We got the Christmas tree.
Uh-huh.
We sometimes hand out gifts to our friends. And in fact, this Christmas time, we handed out a bunch of gifts. My wife makes these cute little resin type figurines and stuff of snowmen, of elves and stuff like that. And we give those away for free to people that we like. And if you were nearby, you'd probably be getting one, Rob.
Well, thank you, buddy. I noticed you said people you like you give for free. So the people you don't like, you charge for, right?
Yeah, they get charged.
The Christmas is my favorite time of the year. And there's no doubt about it, there's something special. And if people do not believe in spirits, man, the Christmas spirit you cannot deny.
And you were mentioning your fur baby.
Yeah.
I have two fur babies here, Story and Champagne. Champagne's a Chihuahua, and Story is an Ayrshire half Australian Terrier,
Oh, wow.
and half Yorkshire Terrier. And we actually, on some cases, bring them along because they can sense a ghost. They've actually chased something that we couldn't see, or they corner something and start barking at it. So they've actually been very helpful.
Yeah.
They're canine paranormal investigators, and they do very well.
Animals are very intuitive, and
Oh, yes, yes.
very much so. Very much so. You and I were talking briefly during the commercial break about an investigation that you did called the Pelletier Road Bridge in Galt.
Yes, that's a very unusual bridge. And the information I'm going to say here, you can actually look it up because it's almost unbelievable.
Okay.
Back in the 1800s, a stagecoach was going down where that bridge is located. And these two gentlemen saw an egg-shaped UFO land in the field. And from that UFO came out two tall aliens holding an egg-shaped object in their hands that was glowing. And they were approaching the men, and the men thought they were going to be abducted and took off in their stagecoach.
Now, how long ago was this, Paul, and where exactly is Galt?
Galt, California is near Lodi.
Okay.
And you probably heard the song by Creedence Clearwater Revival, Back in Lodi Again.
Yep.
Galt is right next to Lodi. And the UFO case that I talk about is a very famous case. You can Google Galt, California UFO, and it'll talk about it. But besides that, Peltier Bridge is very haunted. They actually, people driving on that bridge, they see a woman and she looks like she's crying in distress and walking along that bridge. Well, stories are that some people have committed suicide at the bridge. And also, too, this is a well-known case, but this guy and his cousin picked up this woman who happened to be the girlfriend of one of the guys. And they took her out in the woods to get physical with her in a very bad way. While she was fighting them off, and they wind up killing her and dragging her body along the road in their car.
Oh, for gosh sake.
Yes. And her spirit is seen at the bridge. And that happened like in the 1980s. Many paranormal investigators who have investigated that bridge, they know about the UFO story and they know about the murder incident that happened by the bridge. And they have picked up EVPs of a woman crying. One of my investigators, not me, but one of my investigators picked up an EVP and it sounded like a woman screaming. So that bridge is very, very haunted. When you go over it at night, you feel like there's people there, you feel like someone's watching you. And it gives you goosebumps. It's just a very, very creepy bridge. And it's Peltier Bridge, and it's a very scary spot. If paranormal investigators, sometimes I hear the new ones going, well, we have all this equipment and we got no place to go. You have all kinds of places to go. You can go to Peltier Bridge. That's open to the public. And you're going to get some results.
Paul, whatever happened to the Mothman? Nobody talks about him anymore.
We did have in 2009 a Mothman sighting right here in Sacramento, California, which is right next to Elk Grove, at the Sacramento Bridge, which is called the Tower Bridge. A Lamont Greer, who happens to be a professional photographer, was at the Sacramento River near the Tower Bridge, and he saw something perched on top of that bridge. And he described it as looking like the Mothman. And he knew nothing about the Mothman in Point Pleasant, but yet he was able to talk to a sketch artist and came up with what looked like a Mothman. Well, first off, I didn't think his story was believable, but then I interviewed him and I put the interview out there, and Monster Quest from the History Channel actually did an interview with him, and they're the ones that got the sketch artist, and he started describing the Mothman. Well, I actually believe Lamont Greer knew nothing about the Mothman because he was not into the paranormal or anything else like that. And then 3 other people, wait, let me remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, I'm sorry. 4 other people saw the Mothman at Tower Bridge, and they've even wrote their little stories on the internet saying that they were walking the Tower Bridge around 3 o'clock in the morning. And some people think that maybe they're seeing some kind of huge barn owl or something like that, but I don't know. They're describing what looks like a Mothman. And a lot of people believe that the Mothman is a harbinger of doom. But the only thing is, even though there's been sightings of the Mothman at Tower Bridge, nothing bad has happened in Sacramento.
Wow. Hey, Paul, as always, time goes by so fast when you're with me, my friend. I want to thank you very much for being on the show, and thank you for all the great stuff that you put out there so that people can get a better understanding of the paranormal. So until the next time we meet, my friend, and if it isn't before Christmas, to you and your family, a very Merry Christmas and nothing but the best in the new year, my friend.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Rob, and sending love to your family, and I hope you have the best Christmas ever.
All right, Paul. Take care of yourself, buddy.
You too. You too.
Well, that's it for this hour, Exo Nation. I'll be back tomorrow night at 11 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, and we're heard Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. So until tomorrow night, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.